special sound committee. The committee of sound mind sound.
And I've moved it.
That's not going to let's start. Ladies, let's bring it around. That's right. I used to have them all. You got much. Hello, Sheriff. How are you? I am well. See you. That's what I'm a handshake. You doing well? Doing good. Oh, have a good one. All right. Also known as It's good to see you. Well, I was expecting to see Mr. Reeves here tonight. I figured he'd be here to speak about the election. I figured he'd be here. Like him to show up and opportunity to speak.
Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. This meeting of the Washington County Board of Commissioners is now in session pursuant to adjournment with the Honorable Chairman Greg Matherly presiding. Come to order and remain standing.
Thank you, Sheriff. First order of business this evening is our prayer led by Commissioner Huffine, and our pledge led by Commissioner Davenport.
Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord, as we humbly gather before you tonight on this beautiful fall evening, let us follow the words in Isaiah 55. The mountains and the hills, the trees of the field, and all the world around you rejoice. Let us rejoice, dear Lord, for the blessings that you provide us today and every day. Dear Lord, let us come together as a group to honor you and to do your work. Bless each and every one here, Lord, with the knowledge and wisdom to serve you and the citizens of this county to the very best of our abilities. In your name we pray. Amen.
So on our flag, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. By indicating the yes on your hand controller tonight, that'll be representing that you are here. And after that, you'll need to press confirm. Madam Clerk, if you announce we have 15 present and 0 absent. We do have a quorum. Our next item is the approval of the agenda. We have a motion. So moved. Motion made by Commissioner Tamita, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve the agenda. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, the agenda is approved. We will now move in recess for our public comment portion. Each individual shall be given 3 minutes to address the board regarding items. Comments shall be limited to items on the meeting's agenda. We do have a couple of people tonight that have requested to speak. That the items are not technically on the agenda. However, I am going to allow those individuals to speak. First speaker tonight is Randy Gillum. Mr. Gillum, if you'll come forward to the podium, please. Give your name and address to the clerk.
I'm Randy Gillum, 83 Cartersview Way, Kelton. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and especially to the new commissioners. One word that I would give you as a new commissioner is do as the word of God teaches you. As Solomon did, you need wisdom from God. And I pray for you fellas. I pray for our community. And that is the best advice I can give you, because God is who we're to follow. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto us. So that's my prayer for you all, and that's my desire for you all, and welcome the new commissioners. I put, if you've got your little sheet that I handed out, you have been thrown into the middle of a battle. It's a Bitcoin mining in Washington County. The thing is, I believe when it's all said and done, the dust settles, that really we're actually wanting the same thing for our community. And that's why the best for our community, for our people, our citizens, including our zoo and our children in the schools. That's who we're looking out for, and that's who we want the best for. I put together a sheet here tonight that I would ask you to, and I didn't do that. And none of my grandkids are here, so I can't. So, but I'm asking you if you will take the time, ladies and gentlemen, to please read this. This is not opinions, these are facts. We've studied and worked very hard to try to find out exactly what Bitcoin mining is about what it's doing other places in our nation, about it being here. Just a few things that I'll just quickly. I want you to know, gentlemen, ladies, especially newcomers, that Bitcoin mine initially came here under false pretense and deception. And we've got some things in there that shows that, and it comes from the meetings. And the thing is, when they originally came here, they came with the idea of having a data center and eventually solar panels. Well, that was deceptive, and I urge you all to check these things out. The second thing is, our county is not legally held responsible to find them a place to move their facility. Next thing is, having a Bitcoin mine in Washington County gives no advantage to the citizens that you represent. There's no employment offered. There's nothing tangible that is being made, produced, that you and I can use in our homes to help us. There is no advantage whatsoever for our community. Please take that into consideration. The proposed settlement would move it in the industrial park, which would be 1,700 feet from Grandview Elementary. And there are autistic children that go there that are highly agitated by noise. And also the zoo, and Mr. Bright will be here in just a moment. Bitcoin mining is becoming financially unstable. Please check this out. This was in Forbes magazine, and if you'll read that and study it through, you'll find that they've become very unstable. Another thing is, Channel 11 just did a thing about it, and this is what was said. This was just last week. It was June 9th when Bitcoin Miner Grid's CEO, now Red Dog Grid is the same corporation.
Mr. Gillum,
Yes, sir.
you have reached your time. Thank you very much. We
All right.
appreciate you.
Please.
Our next speaker tonight is David Bright of Bright Zoo. He is here to speak on the Bitcoin subject as well.
Good evening. My name is David Bright. Address is 318 McIntyre Road, Limestone. I am the director of Bright Zoo in Limestone, Tennessee. To the commissioners, old and new, thank you for your service. We appreciate it greatly. I'm here again about Bitcoin mining and as a local business. Our business alone, just last year, did $1.5 million in construction. And we're on par to do that again this year. And income-wise, taxable income, we do over $1 million a year. So that's tax money going back to the county. And if this Bitcoin mine does happen, our only alternative is to close the zoo down, get rid of animals because of the danger of that sound to those animals. It's a proven fact. I also gave you all a packet. There'll be a letter from me and a letter from the ZAA. We were the first zoo in Tennessee and the only zoo in Tennessee to be accredited by the ZAA. It is a major inspection when they do that. It's not an easy task. It's all about care of animals, and we're at the top of our game when it comes to that. And our animals are the most important thing to us. We also host tens of thousands of school kids every year that come to the zoo. We're probably their only chance to get to go to a zoo while they're in their youth. A lot of families just can't afford to take them. So those field trips work out great. They get a chance to see animals they would never see. The majority of our animals at the zoo are endangered species that are not going to be around for future generations to see unless there are zoos to do so. But I'm going to be quick. That's pretty much my thing. Hopefully everybody gets a chance to look over that packet. There will be a letter from the ZA and a letter from myself. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bright.
Thank you.
Our last speaker of this evening is Sylvia Bruni. I'm sorry if I
It's all good.
messed up your name.
Sylvia Bruni, at 166 Garland Lane, Johnson City.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm the chair of the Washington County Democratic Party, and I would like to share 3 comments with you tonight. First, on behalf of Democrats in the county, I would like to congratulate all of you newly elected and returning commissioners. It's a pleasure to see a lot of new faces and returning returning folks to this table, Sheriff Sexton, County Clerk Story, and Mayor Grandy. Congratulations on your elections or re-elections. I hope I didn't forget anybody in the room. Second, I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate the Democratic Party's support of the Washington County Election Commission. They have and continue to do a superb job of conducting our electoral operations in the county. Despite the lies and allegations without evidence that have been spewed by sore defeated candidates, we Democrats, and I know a lot of Republicans and a lot of independents, have faith in our civil servants on the Election Commission. Many of them are here tonight, as well as our election administrator. We have faith in their maintaining the integrity of the election in Washington County. And third, and to conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to extend a collaborative hand to all of you in the room. I know that we do not agree on everything, but there are plenty of local, nonpartisan topics where we can all work together. From increasing voter turnout in our elections to the infrastructure and internet access issues in our county, from the health and safety of our communities to the care of our natural environmental settings, and the right to live in a peaceful setting devoid of noise pollution for our residents and animals. As we've heard, there is plenty we can agree on. So this is an open invitation to work together. Thank you and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much. That will conclude our public comment period. We do not have any zoning matters to consider this evening. You will find, well, let's go ahead and move back into regular session. You will find the minutes of the Regional Planning Commission meeting and the Board of Zoning Appeals in your packet. We do have our next item is special recognition and proclamations. Mayor Grandy.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there anyone here on the Thanks. I thought so. This is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and for at least some of us in the room, we have very close knowledge of a personal friend, one of my best friends, grandsons who recently committed suicide at a young age of 22, and a young man that had, in all appearances, everything going for him in life. So it's real, it happens. A lot of us can relate. Whereas suicide is one of the most disruptive and tragic events a family and a community can experience, with more than 1,100 lives lost in Tennessee each year, and an estimated 25 attempted suicide for each actual suicide death. And whereas suicide is the 9th leading cause of all deaths in Tennessee, the 2nd leading cause of deaths among young youth ages 10 to 14, as well as young adults ages 25 to 34. And the 3rd leading cause for children ages 15 to 24. And whereas more than 3 lives a day lost to suicide in Tennessee, which means we lose 21 Tennesseans each week and 97 people per month. And whereas Tennessee veterans, active duty military, and National Guardsmen face a disproportionate risk as compared to the general population, with more dying from suicide than from combat. And whereas public awareness of this tragic problem is the key to preventing further suffering and loss of life, and the risk of human self-destruction can be reduced through awareness, education, and treatment, as the highest risk for suicide is among survivors of those who died by suicide or those who have attempted suicide. And whereas suicide prevention has been declared a state priority by the governor, and the Tennessee legislature has declared teen suicide prevention as a state priority in partnership with the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network to implement the Tennessee Strategy for Suicide Prevention. And whereas Tennessee is a national leader in the effort to prevent suicide, being one of the first states to develop a suicide prevention evaluation plan covering the lifespan. And whereas the governor of Tennessee has appointed a Suicide Prevention Network Advisory Council to coordinate implementation of the Tennessee strategy for suicide and prevention. And whereas the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network is a grassroots collaboration of Tennesseans and organizations working to eliminate the stigma of suicide, educate the community about the warning signs of suicide, and ultimately reduce the rate of suicide in our state. And whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life struggles, we all need an occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. And whereas we encourage all Tennesseans to take the time to inquire as the well-being of their family, friends, and to generally convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. A simple phone call, message, handshake, or hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of the County Commissioners of Washington County, Tennessee, that we do hereby recognize September 2022 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Washington County, Tennessee, and do urge all citizens to work to prevent and to raise awareness and tolerance around all people affected by this tragedy.
Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation? Motion made by Commissioner Jones, seconded by, motion made by, oh, you got me, Commissioner Malone, seconded by Commissioner Jones.
It's a new commission.
Yeah, well, you know, all right. We have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. The proclamation passes. Thank you so much, and we're honored to have you. And if you want to take a few words,
Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you all so much for your support, Mayor, over the years. You and the commission have been so supportive of our cause, and it's so important that we continue to reach out and love on one another, that we not be afraid to talk about it, because suicide is a stigma word, and it's time to break down those barriers and to not only know the warning signs, but not to be afraid to step in and check on each other, because a lot of people are struggling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, our next item is approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve both sets, or however you want to take those? Commissioner Fitzgerald? Is a motion? Do you have a second? Second by Commissioner Huffine. Any questions or discussion? And that's on both sets of minutes. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. The motion passes and the minutes are accepted. Look around here a minute. I can't see. All right. Our next item is election appointments and confirmations. We do have several of those to consider tonight. The first one is Resolution 220913. Is a resolution appointing members to the County Health Board. We have a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Davenport to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Fitzgerald. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you'll take us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. On the voting screen, you'll see your name. If you'll push yes or no or abstain, and confirm your vote on the screen. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. The next resolution is Resolution 220901, is a resolution appointing members to the standing committees of the Washington County Board of County Commissioners for the fiscal year 2023. Have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Wexler to approve the resolution. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Seconded by Commissioner Jones. Questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll take us to the voting screen, please. As we're learning, as we go on some of these specific items, we appreciate your patience. Yes, Madam Clerk, since we're going to be tied up a bit, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams. Yes. Tamita.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Right, 15 yes, and the resolution is approved. The next resolution is Resolution 220914, is a resolution appointing a member to the Washington County Health Council. We will be confirming the mayor's appointment. Motion made by Commissioner Davenport to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Malone. Questions or discussion?
I assume then that the health council is different and separate from the health board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please. Oh, we're switching to the voting screen. Okay. Uh-oh, maybe we are calling the roll, Madam Clerk. All right, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Next resolution is 220915, is a resolution reappointing members to the Washington County Johnson City Emergency Medical Services. Have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Huffine, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve the resolution. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes, the resolution passes. Our next resolution is resolution number 220916, is a resolution appointing members to the Ethics Committee. Do we have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Fitzgerald, seconded by Commissioner Davenport to approve the resolution. Any questions or discussion? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you will switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Next resolution is resolution number 220917, is a resolution approving members to the Johnson City Public Library Board. Motion made by Commissioner Malone, seconded by Commissioner Wexler to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Next resolution is Resolution 220918, is a resolution confirming 3 members to the Washington County Public Records Commission. We have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Huffine, seconded by Commissioner Fitzgerald to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Next resolution is Resolution 220919, is a resolution confirming the mayor's appointments to the county's purchasing committee.
So
We
moved.
have a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Davenport, seconded by Commissioner Carter to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. The next resolution is Resolution 220920, is a resolution confirming the county mayor's appointments to the Washington County Regional Planning Commission. We have a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Wexler to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Fitzgerald. Questions?
Call for the question.
Call for the question. Excellent.
Getting the practice.
Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Next item is Resolution 220921, is a resolution confirming the mayor's appointments to the Emergency Communications Board. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Huffine, seconded by Commissioner Wexler to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 14 yes, 1 abstained, and the resolution passes. Next item is Resolution 220922, is a resolution appointing members to the Beer Board Committee. Have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Wexler, seconded by Commissioner Edens to approve the resolution. No question or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 14 yes, 1 abstained, and the resolution passes. Next resolution is number 220923, is a resolution confirming appointments to the Investment Committee. Do I have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Jones. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Carter to approve the resolution. Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, the resolution passes. Our next item is our is the county mayor's report. Mayor Grandy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wanted to take a minute tonight to actually get that. We'll talk about Boones Creek athletic fields, but first, an opportunity to update. I've had several commissioners ask about water projects, particularly some of the new ones, want to get a sense of where we are. So there's a couple things that have been going on. Last November 29th, a crew of Washington County paid folks teamed up with the Jonesboro management group to start a combination water crew installing water. Water Task Force identified 8 projects for this group to work on. And so as of September the 26th, that's today, that group of folks has installed 15,830 feet of water pipe. They've completed 8 projects, beginning with Treadway Trail, Greenwood Drive West, Greenwood Drive East, Ralph Hoss Road. Then they ducked down to Highway 107 and helped the Notaries Fire Department get a little bit of water line in and a fire hydrant so they could get their new fire station going. That saved that group of folks down there $51,000, which was the contractor's price to install that. All said, in the first 5, and now they're working in the rock quarry, otherwise known as Highway 81, down near the Noachukee River. It's been a slower project, but they are working through it. They have installed 4,040 feet of pipe, mostly in rock, with another 2,000 feet remaining. And so that project is underway, and there are the next projects behind that ready to go. The thing that I wanted to just say, in addition to that, we have just bid on the 19th of September 4 water projects with the city of Johnson City. That project has not yet been awarded, but there's a low bidder. It came in actually a little under the engineer's estimate. And so that work will begin soon. Don't know exactly when they'll actually be able to lay pipe because ductile iron pipe is as far out as 52 weeks in delivery. So they will be able to order it. We worked out that project so that we'll be able to pay for store materials, so the contractor is free to order material, but assembling enough material to get the job done it's unknown exactly when they'll get started. But that'll be going. And we also have 4 projects that the Water Task Force identified with the city of Kingsport's water system, which are planned to be bid in October. So the projects, now here's the interesting thing though, I think that's worth noting, because there are some people who question this, but the cost per foot of installed pipe by our Jonesboro, Washington County crew is just a touch over $60 a foot. The cost per foot of installed pipe on the Johnson City projects who just bid is $127 per foot. So not only has Jonesboro and Washington County crew been able to get right on it, and in the last 7 months install 15,000 feet of water line serving hundreds of customers, but they're doing it almost half the cost. So I think generally that's pretty good bang for your buck. The other thing I want to say about water projects is we are wrapping up, and I think later in the program, you'll have an opportunity to vote on a resolution to accept $6.353 million from the state of Tennessee for water projects. We will be matching that if you choose to accept that with a 10% match of somewhere around $700,000, which will give us another $7 million to fund water projects. So we'll be able to keep the ball rolling as far as that goes and get a lot more folks in Washington County served water. So we need to get a new water task force going to come up with some more projects in order to get that out to bid. But that, again, that's in the works. And so that again is the state's recognition of the fact that water and sewer and storm and port infrastructure in the counties of Washington County, Tennessee, and we're in a really fortunate position to have a lot of projects planned and pre-engineered so that we're able to take advantage of that $6 million. So that's water. I think questions? Yes, sir.
Where do they go with the water?
That's the water task force. So we have, we invested some money, Richard, back about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, to have an engineered study done of all Washington County roads that had no water line on them. And from that, the engineers created a priority list of projects based on cost versus the number of people served. So the water task force, for the most part, has taken that list and worked down through the priorities as recommended by the engineers. So we've got some projects up with the Kingsport system, some projects with the Johnson City system, and then, of course, the Jonesboro group is with the county and Jonesboro combined group. And Commissioner Davenport has been a phenomenal leader of that task force and has really directed this group to do a pretty amazing work.
Our focus has been to provide current residents in Washington County with options of public water. So what we've looked at, first of all, is trying to figure out where the money goes to affect most of the people. That's been our first criteria, and then we kind of work down after that.
Sir?
Mayor, is there a time limit on when that money has to be spent that comes from the state?
Yep, that's good. It's a great question. So December 31st, 2024, currently is when the money has to be committed to a project. That is, we've got to have contracts and are ready to go. There's 2 more years after that. So December 31st, 2026, the work has to be complete.
Hopefully you'll have the pipe.
Hopefully we have some pipe out there.
Mr. Wheeler?
Mayor, isn't it true that actually since we took it as lost revenue, we don't have to worry about those time frames, what the comptroller told us.
I think that's probably correct.
Yeah, so that we kind of got relief from that because of taking it as lost revenue.
That would not, I don't think, be the case with the $6 million for the state. And that's why we're trying to use it up first.
With ARPA money, I think we've got that covered. And this new money, I don't know. Do you?
I do not know.
Okay.
Yeah, the money from the state. So what the grant will look like, it will include the projects in Kingsport. It will include the projects in Johnson City. We're able to get those incorporated in that. And the goal will be to use up the $6.3 million first so that we don't run the risk of not getting projects done by the finish date. Okay. All right. Next are the ball fields at Boones Creek. So we talked a lot about this. We have now bid this project, I believe, 4 times. And so the most recent bids have come in just last week. And I'll introduce Tom Weems, the architect, and really put a lot of this together and give you sort of the latest update on where we are on the project.
Mayor, before you step away, can you kind of give, I know we have some new commissioners tonight, if you kind of give us just a little bit of background before you step away from the podium, please.
Okay, so the Boones Creek School, when it was built, when that project was put together, the land itself was divided. So the school is on a certain piece of property, and the county and the ball fields were, the county owned the rest. The county still owns the rest. And so the ball fields were designed to go on the balance. That's a football, soccer, track combination, and 2 softball fields, 2 baseball fields. As the project was built, so the land was purchased, and that's a cost that's already been incurred. The initial grading, which if anyone's been out there on the site, knows that essentially we cut down a mountain and relocated a good portion of it towards Boones Creek Road and Highland Church Road. You go out there, you'll see 2 very large retaining walls that are, containing the mountain. So it was designed without the ball fields in the original grading contract, so it was just sort of sloped from back to front for drainage. Once the school was pretty much complete, we decided to move forward with ball fields. It was $3.1 million allocated to the project. And so the first thing to do was to regrade the site for the fields, which that contract was let us by $800,000 to grade the fields to essentially field play tolerance elevations. And what that did was create the football field, on the soccer field, and the track, which is built and is really sort of playable as it sits today. The baseball softball field complex is what we have continued to bid and to try to bring the price down to be able to build those within the $2 million that was left. And so we've never actually been able to get a bid that would accomplish that. So what is going to be presented today is the latest round with some value engineering. We had 2 really good contractors bid on this last round, GRC from Kingsport and Preston Construction from here in Washington County. So well, anyway, you'll see exactly what those bids came in. The project was originally designed to have walking trails all around the school, about 1.5 miles walking trails, part of which went down along the creek. It would be very interesting and nice feature. And that's been in the project. There were also 3 buildings planned on the site. One was a concession bathroom area over near the track, and a storage building on the backside of the property, and then a scores concession and restroom facility in the quad of those 4 ball fields, baseball and softball fields. So you'll see that in this last round, I'll just probably let the architect talk about how the prices came in and so forth. But anyway, so what we did in this last phase was to ask the bidders to bid the total package one more time, and then give a series of deducts for things that we feel like might be able to be taken out of the project and still have 4 playable ball fields, 2 softball fields, 2 baseball fields. So you'll see a deduct for the walking trails. You'll see a deduct for the buildings that are not part of that quad. You'll see a deduct for some changes in the structure of the building as originally contemplated, designed to look just like the school. We have two K-8 schools in our county, Ridgeview and Grandview. Both have very nice ball field facilities, and these structures and this complex was designed to mirror what we already have in the county, not be anything less or anything more. So, anything else?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Did you make copies of it? I would say, yeah, if you would.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Billy.
As the mayor was saying, we had the bid openings for this, back in guess it was in July, this was approved, put back out for bid. And, I think y'all had added an additional $1 million to the project, which at this time brought it to like 3.1 that was designated for. So we put it out for bid, had the bid openings last week. We actually had 3 bidders of record. Only 2 actually responded with bids. And as the mayor had mentioned, it was Preston Construction and GRC. Preston was the low bid for the entire project, which was as Tom Weems had put together. If you look at the sheet that he's passing out, you'll see under the very first summary, the base bid with the allowances and the unit pricing of $6,886,950. That's for the complete project. And you'll also see the deducts that are in there as an alternate. This was to try to get it somewhere more, I guess, closer to reason to where we could get the ball fields playable, have the kids something there and look at what you could do possibly later on, additionally, that wouldn't put this project to a halt. So you'll see that the sports lighting's taken out, the 2 buildings and the walking track. Now that leaves, that brings it down to $5 million. And then there's additional value engineering changes, which one was deleting or changing the roofing and deleting the porches and then deleting the walking trail. And then the fine grading, deleting the fine grading, which would allow to put in synthetic turf for the infields. By doing that, it brings it down to 4.1 million, 4.12. And then when you add the synthetic turf back in, that adds 855,000 for the 4 fields. So that brings it up to 4,978,000, which is just right under, what we were looking at for the 5 million. As he mentioned before, this is the 3rd time actually that we've bid this. The first time we had 1 bidder, and this was done back in July, I believe, last year, 2021. We did it a second time as sort of a piecemeal, where we brought in construction management team and did it by piece. So you'd have the ball fields, then you'd have the buildings, and then you had fencing, and it was still quite a bit over project even doing that, and you didn't have no type of structure at all. I think all it allowed for was just a dugout area with no covering. So this is bringing it back to see what direction we want to go. I mean, this is, everybody knows how inflation is. Pricing is not, we don't foresee anyway getting any less than what we're looking at, especially looking at other projects that have went on during this time. We know Johnson City just went through one with the Wingdeer Park, and it was more than double what budget was. And so, I'm sure everybody else is experiencing the same thing. So this, like I said, we're bringing this to you so that you can look at it. Any questions that you have, got the architect here with it. When we look at what the bids were, the reason I say that pricing wise, they were within 3% of one another, which is really pretty close when you look at a $7 million project. Less than $300,000 between the 2. When you look at the deducts, when they were going in and deducting each item, it was less than 3 or 4%. So they were really, really close. If it was one was 6 million, one was 10 million, yeah, you might have think a little different on what that actual costs will be. But with them so close, I don't know how much more of a difference we would see by doing it any differently or trying to put it back out for bid in additional time, trying to wait. That's always an option, but it's a guessing game as far as if people be able to lower prices in. I'll accept any questions. If you got any questions for Tom? He knows this project back and forth, been over a lot. Yes.
Something on a builder, he will tell me what fine grading is. I think I'm gonna get the fine grading this.
That's,
The fine grading.
go Go ahead.
The way the project was set up in two phases, the first phase was all the rough grading. We shaped the site, shaped the fields, put all the underground drainage, underground conduits, basically prepped the site for future development of the ball fields and the buildings. So when you fine grade it, you're probably within inches of being finished grade. So fine grading is putting that on grade. And then when you fine grade with GPS equipment for ball fields, for example, there's specified slopes from pitcher's mound to home plate, drainage around home plate into the outfield, all that set. So that fine grading number is fine grading field mix, which is a special mix that goes on the infield baseball fields. Now that number that's listed for that VE deduct, majority of that is field mix. So of that number, 50,000 is fine grading. The rest of it's field mix. So it's comparable to what you pay for turf. It's not an even trade, but it's comparable.
Commissioner Huffine?
Yeah, Tom, just to keep everybody grounded, give us a little definition. Building B, building C, and then the change of the roofing on building A.
So building A is the scores building in the baseball, softball court. It's a single story building with a concession area, 2 public restrooms, change room, and some storage space. Building B was a maintenance building on the north end of the site near the bus drop-off drive, or the bus loop drive. It is purely storage and support. No watering, that's just storage and support. Building C is a pavilion building on the east side of the track football field. It was covered space, covered outdoor space, public restrooms, and concession space. And then as part of the VE exercise, we looked at the only cover on that outside cover on those buildings beside the pavilion was a covered porch around building A, which wrapped that building. Concession windows provided protection for those windows and gave some protection during bad weather. You could stand over the porch. It's as simple as that. It's 10-foot wide porch that circled the building. To omit that porch and to change the roof from standing seam panels, which matches the school, which makes sense, to a shingled roof would save about $150.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yes.
In the school originally, water was coming through the bricks of the wall, Highland Church.
I saw that.
You see it?
I saw that.
How is this factor in?
Well, during the rough grading phase, now I've not seen that in a year, but in the rough grading phase, there was a swale put around the outfield of the 2 baseball fields. It collected that water and moved it away from spouting over the top of the retaining wall.
Also put drainage out there.
And there's drainage out there. So that was addressed in phase 1 of this project.
Commissioner Jones?
Well, thank you, Mr. Shrewsbury and Mr. Weems, for bringing this to us, and Mayor for continuing to coordinate this project, because as we've been regrouping, we needed somebody to keep carrying the ball, so thank you for that. And the CIA committee had been handling this, has been handling this for my whole first term, 4 years. And then I think it was moving over into county-owned property. I guess I'm wondering, what decisions do we need to make tonight, and where do we go from here in the decision-making process and moving forward on this?
I think the last time we'd asked the mayor and Willie to bring us to get these price quotations back and bring to us, so we would have something to consider going forward. And I guess tonight, I think we're probably just wanting to get the information to everybody here. And I know that the school board is interested, I'm sure, since they gave us $1 million towards this project. And I guess we either need to send it back to the county-owned property committee to bring forward, or I guess we can't really do a lot of motioning here unless we suspend a rule to consider that one particular item. So I don't know. It's kind of open for discussion. Commissioner Davenport, you haven't spoke yet.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we discussed this, we went around with $1 million at the school out of their capital funds project and things like that. And a little confused, but I think we come to the agreement that we were okay, that added is to 3.1, 3.2 million, something like that. So go get bids and bring them back to us. And I guess from my stance, you know, we kick this around. The previous commission approved this project. It was at 3.2 million or 3.1, whatever that number is. And now the bid has come back at 5 million. And so, I mean, instead of kicking this thing back to committee, I mean, if we could have a discussion on what this commission would like to see out there, out of this list and what that number would be. And then the next step is, where's the money come from? Right? So, but first things first would be and thank you for putting it like this and giving us these options. What would this commission like to do out there at that facility to provide those fuels at that school? Is what I think. So we could have the discussion, couldn't we, Chairman? If this commission wanted to do so tonight without suspending. Now, if we made a decision, we'd have to suspend.
To make a decision, we'd have to, I mean, in general discussion, to make a decision, we'd have to suspend the rule since it doesn't appear on the agenda.
Even if we said we want to go through with this, but we've got, with the caveat of finding the money. I mean, that's really not a decision. That's just, we'd like to do it if we can find the money.
I think we are committed to finding the money. I think the school board has put in $1 million on this project, and the county we've held on to like 2.2 million still of money that's already committed to that project. So there's already money that's been committed to this project specifically. So I guess we come back and say, where do we find the rest of it? Commissioner Malone?
Well, just a point of clarification, because I remember this discussion in the budget committee that when we realized it was going to be so significantly over the remaining available funds, which at the time was about 2.122, is it now 3.1 or 3.2?
Well, it would be, yeah.
With the school money,
Right.
it's 3.2.
Yeah,
Which somewhere like at 3.1 something.
Well, in budget, when we had this conversation about, let's go see and partner with the school board and see what they may be able to do, I think the concept was that the Board of Education would come to us using their reserve funds and not money out of the education capital projects. They didn't do that. They came back to us and said, well, we're okay if you use $1 million out of the education capital projects fund. And that's what's brought us from 2.2 to 3.2. But just that one point of clarification, I mean, we have kicked this around so much. I'm eager to see it move forward. And 4.1 compared to a budget of 3.2 might be realistic. I don't see how we ever get to the 6.9 million with 3.2 budgeted. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Malone. Commissioner Wheeler?
One question, then comment. On the walking trail, was that with the contractor doing that, or is that with our highway?
The contractor would grade it, Preston County would say that.
And then, I guess the comment I would make is that, and, you know, I guess we can throw around different numbers, but I think, you know, we all know we need to do something out there, and we need to do it right. And so, even if we're looking at 4.1 or 4.9, I hope we'll be able to look at possibly adding back in the porch and the roof that matches the school, so that we can go ahead and do it right. In the big scheme of things, that's a relatively small amount compared to the overall cost. The walking trail may not be something we do right now, because that's something else that I hope I can find somebody to start working on it. Something else, and that's part of that. So, it'd be a way to add them. That would be a nice feature that was originally in the plan that we'll add back in at some point. I appreciate that you all designed it and that later.
Yeah. Commissioner Tucker?
any revenue that will come back from this once this is finalized, like when Deal Park, would they rent these fields out, or where would that money go to if they do that?
A lot of that money that does come back in, goes back into the education part of it. You know, it's, a lot of it goes back to that school.
They stay full every weekend and bring a lot of people in from out of town. There's a lot of revenue. I just wonder where all that went.
Yeah, it would be, you know, kind of like Ridgeview and Grandview, they generate some revenue there for games and stuff. It just, it's, like Commissioner Wheeler said, you kind of want to, I don't like to give my opinion up here too much, but I think we all kind of need to pour our opinion into this a little bit. I agree with Commissioner Wheeler. I think it kind of needs to, you know, we got one chance to do a good job out here, and I like making sure the porch matches and I mean just aesthetically make it look attractive. I think that's important. And Commissioner Williams.
It needs to be lit. And the reason I do, I've attended many games as a grandmama. And you have to have lights to play once it gets dusty. And I don't think practical deduction when we're talking about revenue. See? Deduct sports time.
Chairman, I don't want to overstep, but Commissioner Williams has called on me. Is that okay?
I tell you, you know, I don't like to get into a lot of back and forth, you know, but Commissioner Edens, you go right ahead and answer.
Listen, there may not be a lot of areas where I can say I have a little expertise, but athletics certainly is one.
Okay.
I will tell you, that when you present these ball fields to these kids and these parents and these teachers and coaches that have been waiting on these ball fields, if you present them these ball fields without lights, I will tell you that will not be taken very well. If you're talking about millions of dollars going into this product, you want to get full use out of it. You can drive down 11E and you can drive by Ridgeview. And you can see those ball fields in use all of the time. And that is a meeting place for your communities. Those places, it's a lot more than just ball. That's where folks hang out. That's where kids play. You cannot build these ball fields and not have lights on these ball fields, first and foremost. Now, something a lot of you may not know is with middle school sports, you've got a football/soccer field right now. You could, and maybe I'm just not seeing it on here, but you could probably forego lights on that field for now because your middle school soccer programs combined. And they play under the name of Boone on the north end. On the south end, they play under the name of Crockett. They play at the high school as much as they possibly can, which was part of the deal when the high schools got turf. They were going to invite the middle schools to come play. Same is true for your football programs. You have Crockett Middle School and Boone Middle School. So if you were going to add something later, light-wise, you could probably get away with it on the football/soccer field. But when you present these baseball and softball fields, you have to present them with lights. That concession stand has to be fully functional for those kids in Boones Creek in that community. You have got to have public restrooms. Those are a couple must-haves that you have to present them with. Otherwise, I mean, that's just not going to be received well by those folks that have been waiting so long for it.
Thank you very much for that informative answer. We appreciate that. Commissioner Wheeler?
In all due respect, Commissioner Edens, with the Jonesboro School, the school system has actually suggested they do not need lights at that school. And that was school system personnel, that was athletic personnel from both Boones Creek and Jonesboro that came to the consensus that they did not need at Jonesboro at least.
Right.
So I would suggest that we ought to go back to the school system. If the school board's going to go back to the school board anyway, that we let it go back to the school board and let them weigh in on that and whether that's something, because that is, to Commissioner Malone's point, if that is a necessity and we're talking about 685,000 for that, then perhaps they can do that. They've got, 18 million
Good.
sitting in their reserve fund. That may be something they can help us with.
I agree with you.
If that's a
They should
priority.
Be involved in that process as well, and maybe that's something we kick back to them. But when you don't have, the thing about the lights is it depends on, we have to prioritize a little bit. The school teams can get away with playing with no lights probably, to an extent. But when you've got a facility like that, you're gonna use it for anything like travel ball, anything like that, you won't be able to survive without lights. But then again, I agree with you, we probably should see what their take is on it. I don't know, with all due respect included, because that is who I work for. To be honest with you, I don't know how many ball games they get to here lately. But I agree with you. I mean, you may have to look and prioritize a little bit. You're absolutely right.
Can I add one comment? And maybe this helps answer one of the questions.
Please.
If we were to pick and choose items on this list, and say, for example, you picked the list without the sports lighting, as an example. That doesn't mean that's the end of that decision. All that means is you don't spend that money on day one.
Right.
All the infrastructure is already installed, the underground is ready. And if you were to come back a year later and install the sports lighting, they come in, they auger the holes, drop the footings, put the lights up. So it may be to look at this in a way that you can proceed, and it may have to be a step-by-step kind of.
Be done incrementally.
But just because you make the decision today doesn't mean it's the end. It's set up to do this in pieces if you have to.
Yeah, one of the things that we were looking at too with that part of it, during the summer months and first start of school, you got longer days, so if they were able to go in right after school, as long as it wasn't getting in later at night. But yes, I agree with you, at some point, you couldn't use it for like travel at this time, they wouldn't use that. So, yeah, they go 10, 11 o'clock at night, they go there.
And so Willie, we already have a significant investment out here already. We have millions already invested underground and with grading. And so this is really just the final amount to finish off our investment that we've already made. So I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that all the underground work here is done. We've already done all that. We've done all the grading. And it's a significant investment. I don't want to even go back and look at today's number, what that would be. So when we initially done that, several years back. So. Commissioner Huffine?
So I agree with Commissioner Davenport, Commissioner Malone. I think we've all are anxious to move this forward. It's been on the table way too long, but also I want to make sure what we do it correctly. I think probably the best thing that we could possibly do tonight is to agree directionally what we want to do. We pretty well know we need another $1 million to $2 million to do it from a basically correct. Not complete, but basically correct. And I think Commissioner Eden brings a great point. We do need some feedback from the school system. The lighting, Mr. Weems made an excellent point there. Maybe the lighting is year 2. But I think there's where we need some input. So my suggestion is we just selectively agree, yes, we want to do this. We want to do it immediately, or as soon as we can find $1 million to $2 million and get a little feedback from the school board. I would hope this could go through committee, through school board, and we would have a formal resolution next month. I don't like postponing it, but I'm willing to wait 30 days to make sure we do this correctly, and we're all in agreement on that.
Commissioner Malone?
Well, to Commissioner Huffine's point, how long are bids good?
60 days.
60 days.
They're a
60
week
days.
old. They're from last Wednesday.
The other thing I'm just going to throw out there, and I had hoped, certainly when in the budget meeting where this was discussed, let's say, I had hoped for a broader partnership with the school system. That has not yet quite materialized. But as I sit here thinking about dollars, there is roughly, and I'm just throwing this out as a possibility, but there are some remaining ARPA dollars left that had originally been designated for broadband, that grant was not approved by the state. And so I think those dollars are at least on hold for the moment. So I'm not sure how the commission feels, but that may be a potential source of money that would at least get us right around $5 million. Now, again, I would hope for a broader partnership with the school system, but that's one idea. I don't know how other commissioners feel about the potential use of those remaining ARPA dollars.
We need to suspend the rules to move it to.
I think you can,
Or could we just refer it to this week?
you can, but you have to know how much you need. And, Mayor, do you want to add anything in here when we're talking about sending this to a committee as far as the dollars go? Are those dollars from that we committed to the power board, are they clear? I guess that's one of my questions.
Well, no grant.
Okay, so that's the answer on that. So those with no match, it wouldn't.
All right, so the numbers that you want to look at, it's more 4 fields with her. And the building has if you believe the field tar, this way the field, is 4.9. That's definitely the difference. You get a infield planning service. Like all right. And so it's gonna take about $2 million in addition to the work that you already have. That does not include something.
So yes, your question, Commissioner Tomita, it would go back to county-owned property and I guess you could look at the financial side in one and does that answer your question?
Could the question be put to our committee while the county-owned property is considering? We do that at the same time and come back here with a recommendation from the county-owned property committee with a commitment from our committee to fund the difference.
Yes.
And they'd actually both be recommendations, so then the commission can marry it.
Differently.
Commissioner Jones?
School board's meeting schedule relative to our committees so that can get folded into the decision as well.
I was just looking at those updates yesterday, or I noticed some spark things yesterday, but I don't know where exactly they are this month.
At the very least, if they could get something to the budget, which is our last meeting before it comes to the packet, then we'd get something.
What would you be after the board?
Well, I hear some discussion about prioritization of these training committee items. And I would agree with some other commissioners that it would be nice to know if they'd be willing to put in a little as well. Now that we all, them and us included, know the cost is greater than we imagined.
Commissioner Huffine?
Yeah, I think this is high enough on their radar. If they need to have a call meeting to facilitate that, they would be more than willing to do that. If we're requesting their input, especially on the priorities of what needs to be there. They're working extremely well with us. I think they'll do that. So I think that's part of our request, coming out tonight, is that they have a meeting to give us our. Absolutely.
Yeah, both of our athletic directors have been a big part of this. planning, and they're always been, the superintendent's always made them available to us if we needed them. Commissioner Malone?
Well, just to try to summarize this forward, and I'm curious about your thoughts, Mayor or Finance Director, but it sounds like there is some consensus for a project around the 5.1 or 5.2 amount. And we potentially have a means by which we get there if, and it's subject, to this body's approval, but if we were to use ARPA money. And so I guess I'm looking for consensus, but it sounds like there may be consensus around the project 5.1, 5.2 funded with this remaining sort of available money in ARPA funds. And if we do more than 5.1 or 5.2, it has to be through a partnership with the school system. So I'm just trying to see if there's some consensus around that.
And then we would just, if we could get a consensus on that, we would move that to the ARPA committee.
Well, I think they were saying,
We are working on a timeline. We are working on a timeline.
Yeah.
Let's send those requests at the same time
Yeah.
to both committees. So that it all comes back in October with something to vote on both ends.
To make a decision.
Make a decision, and then we're done.
Because I do think, again, we've talked this through a few commissions, okay? So my question here as well, and this is getting with the end in mind, what kind of construction timeframe, if we were talking with her, kind of construction timeline?
They were, I think, 275 for Preston.
I think they're 275 as far as.
Well, yes, instead of us specifying days, because right in this market, that doesn't work. You can't force a schedule. Preston was the low bidder, 275, the next bidder was 365, and that's probably the difference in the bids. Probably not much. That's anticipating he gets to start before bad weather.
Yeah, I mean, well, this time of year, exactly. But, you know.
But everybody understands these kind of jobs, you don't get an answer the next day.
Yeah.
You have to go through the process. So that's why the bid purpose is to give you a chance to decide.
We're solid.
60 days.
But, you know, and I appreciate y'all looking at this and considering moving forward, because the biggest question that I have, or concern that I would have, if this still made it again, is that it goes out and you get nobody to bid on it. Because what they do is they'll look at it and they'll see that it's 3 times that it's been out, not been awarded, something's wrong.
Especially if the inflation hits too, they said they didn't take us at this amount, so we know they're not gonna take us at this.
Exactly. And then, so what they're doing now, I mean, there's so many projects that are out there, I mean, they're picking and choosing pretty much. They want to do.
Yeah.
Commissioner Huffine?
So I think just to sort of summarize, make sure we're all in agreement. We know the direction we want to go, $4 to $5 million. We got to find that. Since agendas will be created, we go ahead and place this item on county-owned property and on ARPA committee meetings upcoming, as well as pass it on to the school board for their feedback as soon as possible, knowing the time frame that we're working on. With the target next month's meeting, we've got something that we can hopefully finalize.
That sounds like a motion.
Well, we
Can't really make a motion. I think that was an interpretation. The stated agreement, trying to summarize the consensus.
Under the rules, the chairman can just send it to the committee, so.
So just for clarity, what would the area of property committee be considered? I think it may be at that level, or chairman's otherwise engaged. I think it may be at that level with perhaps some input from the school system where we decide the exact options. We want X and Y and Z to get to a number. That's what I imagine maybe at county owned.
That would be a question of which type of infield and whether or not.
The buildings.
Exactly.
The roof line and the porch.
I would think coming out of county-owned property, we want this, and here's what it's gonna cost us. So we walk out of that meeting we know what we're gonna spend, so we gotta identify where the money's coming from.
And then that's when the ARPA
Exactly.
committee meets. and says,
ARPA,
okay,
school, whatever funding sources we're gonna,
all right,
we know what we
and then
got.
We have everything, and the goal here is for us to have something to vote on
Yes.
next month. Is
Firm.
that what everybody's here? Okay. Okay.
Start
We
digging.
may
in.
want, we may
I'm
want
with you.
ARPA to hear back from the school board prior to their meeting. So we know what the gap is. If they'll help stretch a little bit, then we.
ARPA's probably might be the day after.
All right, let's get Commissioner Jones in here just a minute. She's giving me some pretty bad looks up here. Mr. Jones, you are recognized.
I would just say, Mayor, that you're a member of county-owned property, which is.
Good as that.
Yeah, it's perfect. We don't have a chairperson right now to make sure that all this stuff gets brought in, and if you could be the point person on that, that'd be great. And if you have a way of finding out from the school, and communicating with them about this, that'd be perfect. It's really quite nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be sure and put it on the ARPA committee as well. Is that how y'all want to handle that?
Yeah, we need to get that meeting scheduled. And we also need to decide sometime in here who's on that committee, right?
Committee chairmans is what makes
Well,
that
but
up.
does that carry over automatically?
Well, the new committee chairman.
The new committee chairman.
Okay,
Take
so
care.
that, okay.
Will be on that, so.
All right, very good.
But they'll have to elect the new chairman.
Yeah.
So I will put that on the ARPA committee and the county-owned property committee agenda. You may consider.
Okay.
Sherry did bring it to my attention that the school board meetings are on page 44 of your packet of the director's report this today. So that'll. Thank you, Mayor. Willie, thank you all so much for your hard work and getting that bid out. I know we've kind of had Willie under a time crunch, and Willie's in all kinds of crunching over there. So I think we have a plan, and we'll have that back here next month. And so if you are on the ARPA committee or the county-owned property committee, you've already got a job this month. All right. So the mayor is nothing else to report. However, we will move on to our next report, the county attorney's report, Ms. Wilkinson. Do you have anything to report before we move into our executive session?
My microphone working?
You okay?
No, we're ready now.
Yes?
Yes.
I hear it. Thank you. So for the county attorney report tonight, I did request executive session, which I appreciate being on your agenda. I will tell you that as you go forward in your next month, your first month of agenda meetings in committees, I'll try to break down a number of reports to bring everyone up to speed, since it is a new term with a new legislative body. I will also point out that during the month of October, the county attorney's office for the past 3 years has worked on pilots, which are payments made in lieu of taxes, and that's per agreements with the Washington County IDB, which has its authority delegated from this commission for certain projects. That IDB has 4 pilots that it's approved, but you will also, of course, since every property in Johnson City as well that's subject to those IDBs also have property taxes. Those are also the subject. So that would be something that I will bring back to you a little bit at the end of next month, and just wanted you to know that that's what we'll be working on for your review. That's with the assessor's office and the trustee's office, so that those notices go to the companies November 1st. But indeed, we have requested executive session for this evening. And just a reminder, executive session is an exception to open meetings law, in that it will not be conducted here in open. It's a recognized exception by statute, and it's specific to discuss a number of types of items
specifically pending litigation. It is not a time for deliberation. There will be no deliberation. It is purely to receive advice and counsel. So with that, Mr. Chairman, if we could go to executive session, I'd be appreciative.
We will move into executive session. Sheriff, if you'll open the door, and everybody will follow Sheriff Foster there. I'll call us back into session. All right, our next item is the Director of the Health Department. I don't think Ms. English is here with us. Mayor? Where did the mayor go? Oh, we'll come back to that in just a minute. Next item is the Director of Schools report, Director Boyd. I think do they have a meeting tonight, I think? Anyway, his update memorandum is in the packet on page 43. Our Administrator of Elections is here tonight, Dana.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Dana Jones. I'm your certified Washington County Election Administrator, and thank you for having me here tonight. As you can see from your packet, our report is on page 34. And it's always kind of a month late or a month behind because of how the packets are printed. But we had a very busy August, as all of you know, because you all had a very busy August, and those election results were in last month's report. And this month, we have been taking everything and putting it back together. And this is the shortest turnaround time for elections from the August to the November election. So we are full speed ahead with the November election. But the really good news that I can't wait to share with you all is that Tennessee is ranked #1 in election integrity. So I put that on all your desks. It is according to the Heritage Foundation. So that's something that I think all of us can be very proud of. So, and for the first time, myself and my staff got to attend the swearing-in ceremony of you all, and it was a great pleasure to see everyone take their oath of office. That's basically it for right now, unless you guys have questions for us. And if you have questions for us, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is the Committee on Committee Reports. Commissioner Davenport.
Yes, our minutes is on page 46. Have any questions?
All right. Seeing no questions, we'll move on to the Safety Committee Report. Commissioner Wheeler.
Wrong committee, that's not mine.
Oh, that is the wrong. That's the Safety Committee. That's the County Safety Committee Report. Their report is on page 48 packet. Yeah, Mr. Haney, he's the Director of Solid Waste. He's the chairman of that committee. I thought that was some leftover safety minutes for you there, Commissioner Wheeler. All right. Not letting Commissioner Wheeler off easy, though. The Budget Committee Report. Commissioner Wheeler?
We'll find our minutes from September 14th on page 50 of your packet. A number of resolutions for you to consider. The first is on page 62 of the packet. Resolution number 220902. Resolution amending election commission fiscal year budget 2022-2023 for the purchase of voting machines. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Huffine to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion? Commissioner Johnson?
Was my understanding correct that the state reimburses the money for these voting machines?
Yes. Yes.
Provided we don't buy any different voting machines, which is not.
Call for the question.
Right, question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is number 220903, a resolution authorizing capital projects fund budget amendment and spending for the design and planning of a standalone office for the Washington County Election Commission. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler. A second? Second by Commissioner England. You were behind the box, Commissioner England. I'm sorry. Have any questions or discussion? As Commissioner Wexler?
I'm new at this, so I guess I just kind of wanted to know, is this is for the design and planning of the standalone office. Have we decided where the money's gonna come from?
We haven't. Right now, we haven't gotten that far to get a solid bids and things back. This is one of the processes that we have to do to get plans solid enough to bring back to consider.
Do you have to spend this much money to get a design? I just hate for us to build a building or to get a a budget or a plan, to get a figure, a design plan, and then decide that we can't afford to build a building. And maybe I'm new at this, so I'm it just seems like maybe we might want to put it through a committee and decide where the money could come from first, or how much money we can spend, and then decide on the bill.
Mayor, would you like to address some of those questions?
Yeah, excellent question, Commissioner Wexler. The amount that's in the resolution would be the total cost of the architect. As you know, on buildings, they will set a construction schedule and fee section so that the early part is less. And as the construction takes place, they are doing inspections and other and verifying the construction documents, all that stuff. It gets higher going. So, in order to get a reasonable estimate of the cost, you need to get the design to about 40%. So currently,
So this is the full design plan, this is just 40%?
that's full. What you're seeing there, would be a $3.75 million facility, completely done with architecture.
So we know how much it's gonna cost already.
Oh, yeah. We are $16,775 into architectural plans.
Right.
And for that, they've done some site investigation and then surveys, and done site testing. They have a preliminary design that the election commission folks have been working with. Shore up and get what they need for their space and for an early voting site. You may recall that we're currently paying $41,000 a year for Hermitage as a voting site.
Right.
So one of the goals is to eliminate that. So in that space, they have about 2,000 feet or totally voting space, and we replace that. And during the period of time when that's not in use, it's going to be set up as a training facility, sheriff's department, and other needs. So it'll be used more than just what the election commission uses. It'll have their offices, their space in one end of this facility, an open space at the other end that's available for other uses on a regular basis. Having said that, in addition, it contemplates storage that will value engineered in this facility, both the sheriff's department and the clerk. We're actually out of space, and we're looking to figure out what to do there. So, say all that to say that the spaces, the building has grown to about 10,000 square feet.
And I'm not.
That's where the number comes from. Right. So they're telling us about $375. It's a 10,000 square foot building, plus or minus a little bit. So $3.75 million in the construction, 6.5%, that's what this. So we are currently, again, understand, so we have invoices that we need to actually pay apartments and folks for $16,753.75. That will get us started, and if this commission doesn't want to go any further, then that's it. But we do need to pay it.
Commissioner Wheeler?
In addressing Commissioner Wexler's question and pointing out, first of all, anything I'm about to say can be reconsidered by this commission, certainly. But the concept for this certainly has been through committees and the commission. The need for the space has been through the commission before. When we evaluated doing this, locating them in another space. And so that's why this has come to this point. Again, does not mean that we can't redo anything this commission wants to redo. But that's how it got here today.
And again, I'm not questioning the need. You know, there's a lot of things I need, but I can't afford, you know. So I'm just wondering, can we afford it? Do we know where the money's gonna come from?
Well, the idea here would be this is how we get that number. Because without, I mean, we're operating off, and the mayor's really good at estimating these, but that's an estimate. So once we know what we're going to build, then the architect can actually give us, you know.
So we have to do the design plan to get the number?
That's the.
He said it's 3.75 million.
If we want to get more specific than that, then we need something, moving the construction documents for somebody to look at and tell us this is what it'll cost to build that. Again, that's not going to take the full $243,750, but it is going to take more than the $16,000 that we've so far.
Commissioner Jones?
I feel like that's the first time I've heard the description of that building. So did I miss, but has it been going through committee meetings or? I have not, I don't think it's been presented to this full commission until just now when the mayor described it.
I think the election commission, Commissioner Jones, has been working with the architect to develop the schematics or the layout of the building, working with the county mayor as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we kind of got to this point as far as this point with what's been spent of the $17,000 just to get it here to have something. You know, the way the mayor comes up with this number is, and I was asking the same thing the other day, is, you know, you're just basing the cost on the square footage, not really what some specific things you want in it. So I think that's, and it would be partly what they needed. So
Okay.
I had some of the same questions.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Number one, 41,000 for the Heritage Center. Did we lose the space in the historic courthouse where we used to vote? I mean, voter numbers are down. What happened to the space in the historic courthouse we were voting in?
That was, now we would have to go back a real long time to talk about some of that. I think the assessor's office moved into that area as expansion, into that area, the courthouse. That's when we moved up to the hardware store there for a while and then early voting there.
Kind of like Jody said, when we got this packet, that was the first I've heard about it, and being a new commissioner, you know, I don't know what needs the highway department may have, or any of these other departments have. I wouldn't feel comfortable going ahead and allowing that money to the election commission. I'm not really familiar with what other needs may be in the county.
Yeah. Commissioner England?
I'm ashamed to say, but I took a tour of the election commission office for the first time last week at the request of Miss Jones. You know, like most of you, I go up to the front counter, get my paperwork, and then I leave. But she was gracious enough to give me a tour of their office and the limited space they have. And then also a tour through the courthouse was like a maze to find where they're having to store different items. and then go collect them for the elections and bring them out. And then for the voting machines in different rooms. And so she also has a drawing there. There's a drawing there that shows the building that we're talking about. And I'm sure she'd be happy to give any of you a tour of that. It was very enlightening.
I agree with you, Commissioner England, and, but I do hear what people are saying, that they would like to probably take another look at that. And it did come through the committee process at one time, and like I said, we've tried to locate them in several different spots, and I think we looked at this through several committee systems, but I don't think we've really looked at this architectural design that we have here, that's here. So I do see where there is some confusion as to what's been through a committee and what has not. And I'm sure that if we wanted to go through a committee, Ms. Jones would be happy, or Chairman McAllister would be happy to appear there and help you and talk to you about their needs as well. Commissioner Davenport, you have your hand up.
Yes, and I have been on a tour through that office as well, and I don't disagree with anything that's here about the need and what we need to do. But, I mean, that just seems to be an awful lot of money to find out if we have the money to build a facility. That's my hang up here, and I agree with Commissioner Jones. I may have missed something, but I don't remember the dialogue in here, so I don't know where this is going. And this is just an awful lot of money, and we've got a lot of other projects as well, and things like that, and details and things like that. I'm not real comfortable in dropping this amount of money for this.
Commissioner Malone?
Well, this is at least partially a question for our county mayor and the finance director, so. But in terms of prioritization, in terms of things we have looked at and voted on as the full commission, I think we've had a placeholder on the county's capital projects fund for this building. Is that not correct? Now, it's been a placeholder number, and we've been uncertain about the exact cost, but in terms of prioritization, there has been a placeholder position for this building in our capital projects fund that this commission has reviewed and approved as recently as June. And is that correct?
Yeah, it was, the $1.7 million, which was the placeholder we talked about, was moved to FY 2320. Yeah, it's up by 20%. It's still in the plan, but it's out of here because we just need to do it.
Well, you have to take these steps to get there to even be able to do it in the coming fiscal year.
Yeah, to get to 40%, actually 40% of that number, about $96,000. I don't know what the cost. We can find out about the next, big meetings, what the architect thinks it would cost to get to a 40% better drawings to actually put in the market and see what the cost would be. And so we can do that. It would be helpful if we could get at least a little bit of food night to pay what we have.
Commissioner Malone brought up a very interesting point just now. So I think he's right. I remember seeing it on the capital projects list. Is that projecting to fund it in the capital projects plan, or what does that look like?
Well, I mean, it's 1.7 of capital spend next year, and of course that was calculated based on probably $150 a square foot and some architectural fees. So we're really, costing almost $7, or maybe half $1 million. So the funding for it is capital projects fund. There are, when you look at the schedule, there's multiple items in there, so it's a matter of prioritization. If you take something out and you have more money left for another capital project. After that, you want to do everything, and you're going to have to go find some revenue somewhere else, either, in debt issuance or someplace to be able to find it.
Commissioner Huffine, I'll come back to you.
Well, actually, Commissioner Long brought up my thought process there, but I do want to follow up on something the mayor said there, just for a point of clarity. The 243,750 is the total architectural cost for the entire project. I think you mentioned 96,000 there just a moment ago. That really gets us the concept of drawing the pretty firm dollar number. At that point, we spend that, then we really decide if we want to go to the 3.7 or not. Is that, and I heard that correctly? So we could approve 96 tonight and move the project forward. But still have the right not to spend 243 or even contemplate 3.7. But it's almost a necessity to do the 96 to get moving forward. Is that? Put it on mark. Okay.
Commissioner Williams?
I'm believing that the election commission agreed to stay on the third floor if down the road we need to build a freestanding. And they all agreed in that committee that they stay on the third floor and move forward to build a freestanding facility. And our concept was, we had the property in front of the Justice Center, so it's just the building. And I remember attending that.
Yes, I think you're correct, Commissioner.
So this is the next step in following through with the agreement. Those of us who were in that committee meeting and listened to the commission, the staff of the election commission, they will stay on the third floor, provided we can go forward with our own freestanding building. Am I right? So this is in the packet to implement whatever it takes.
Commissioner Tamita, I'm sorry.
Not stated that, but what committees did this go to? And where did it come as a recommendation from what committees?
It will take me a little bit to think back. I know it's probably been with the architect probably 8 or 9 months, and it mayor probably since then.
We're picking this up on the tail end, I get it, and let me just start by saying it is a breath of fresh air in the election commission, okay? I get it, and I know we've got to address that, but, a lot of us are new, and there's a lot of need in the county.
Commissioner Tamita, I guess instead of looking backwards and to answer your question, we could look forward. I mean, if you wanted to send it,
Well,
send it to the next available committee. I mean, like county on property.
Sent the ball to the county on property committee. It would seem like a very good home to get a recommendation from the county on property committee, because it would be county on property, right? We got to pay for what we've done so far, but, why don't we get and let the county on property committee look at that whole, I'm guessing that's not the only placeholder, right? And prioritize, and very well could be the top priority, but we've established a process with ball fields. I don't see a reason to deviate from that process for this. That's not gonna hold it up long. It's decided to be done, but that is the process, so. Can I make that as a motion?
Absolutely.
That we, sorry.
So, no.
No, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the proper thing may be to simply amend the existing motion to lower the amount to an amount not to exceed 17,000. And then perhaps a component of the amendment is that the broader issue go through the committee. Yes.
Or
I will offer that as an amendment to the existing motion.
Do you withdraw your motion, Commissioner Tomita, because it is an allowable motion. You do? All right, so we're going to be considering an amendment at this time that Commissioner Malone has offered us. What was the number on that, the total you said, 17,000?
I think will that work, Mayor, an amount not to exceed 17,000?
We'll cover what we currently owe, but it'll stop the design process.
Yes, I think that's, as I understood it, that was the intent.
So that would mean that.
So stopping the design process is,
Architect would be.
No, because there would be.
I don't know if stopping the design process is. Mayor, do you want to talk about that just a minute? As far as moving forward?
Well, it'll shut the project in, you know, it's not impossible to, but again, it reads, how many labor hours? So,
All right,
We should add another.
so.
Or two to it so that if the county and property committee wants to talk to the architect.
I'm fine with that. If the mayor believes that would be sufficient to not stop it.
Do you have a number, Mayor, that you think that would not stop the design process for 45 days?
is it a number?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
It was probably the 96,000 number that you referenced to get us to the 40%.
that'll get us to where we can get a market, but it won't, and they won't spend that much. Just as long as.
Let me look up this motion.
Will, you know, cover them, what they're doing, and still working with an end of the county and property.
Nice.
You know, the
I
check,
think we're talking about two different things. I think some of us were talking about just to get through the committee meeting.
Yeah.
Rather than.
so our motion's 17? Is that where we're
I'm
at?
very content to increase that to 20 or 25. Is that? I'm not sure that it makes a significant difference beyond them working with us another month, but that may all be all that's needed. So I'll amend my motion to 25,000.
25? So we'll just add that to it. Do we have a second for this motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Tomita. This is a motion to amend the current resolution.
Mr. Chairman, can we just get confirmation that it's the same line item?
Line item is not changed.
And this will be sending this project as well to the County Owned Property Committee for their review. And then it would follow the normal course of business. Commissioner Johnson?
So what are we voting on right now? We're going to amend the.
We're voting to amend the current resolution, which is calling,
Then when we vote, give the 45,000 or whatever number we come up with, or is this just a one vote done?
this will just amend what we're talking about on that original resolution. And it will say that we're going to add that additional, or cut it down to that additional money, 25,000, correct, Commissioner Malone?
Yes, sir.
And it is also going to refer this item back to the County Owned Property Committee for their review. So that's the amendment we're voting on now. Is there any further questions or discussion on the amendment? Question's been called?
For Allison or somebody.
It will change the amount to $25,000 on that resolution. It will also refer this to the County Owned Property Committee for next available meeting, for their review. All right, going to vote on the amendments. Everybody ready? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. All opposed. The amendment passes. We'll go back and vote on the resolution as amended. And we will need to do that when the clerk gets us set up to vote. Is there any discussion or questions on the resolution as amended?
Call for question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk has the voting screen up. If you'll cast your vote, lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 14 yes, 1 no. And the resolution passes as amended. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is found on page 67 of your packet. It's resolution number 22-9-4. Resolution authorizing capital projects fund spending for Washington County Health Department renovations to the nurses station. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, a second by Commissioner Fitzgerald to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is found on page 69 of your packet. It's resolution number 22-9-5, resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 regarding $1,100,000 Tennessee Department of Health grant. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve the resolution. Question or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is found on page 72 of your packet, resolution number 22-9-6, resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 regarding the Register of Deeds upgraded software program. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Wexler to approve the resolution. Question or discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch this to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in.
Isn't that who took the election commission spot?
Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is found on page 74 of your packet, resolution number 22-9-7, resolution approving and authorizing certain capital projects fund spending fiscal year 22-23 for the Washington County Sheriff's Office. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Huffine to approve the resolution. Commissioner Malone?
I'm supportive of the resolution, just wanted to be sure about the general ledger line items. It references education capital projects.
Move the couple of us. Should just be capital projects.
Okay. I thought the school system was partnering with. It always.
They would have missed that money, Commissioner Malone.
Boy, that's.
Well, we've almost had it, so you had to.
Yeah. We almost had it by you, Commissioner Malone.
Sorry, for the legal thing, you go by the words or the numbers.
We'd have blamed it on the mayor. All right.
Very good. So we'll just strike the word education.
Any further questions or comments, or call the question?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution was mentioned by the mayor earlier. It's found on page 76 of your packet, resolution number 22-9-8. Resolution authorizing the mayor of Washington County to make, sign, and submit an application requesting state water infrastructure grant funds in the amount not to exceed $6,353,535.62. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Fitzgerald to approve the resolution. Question or discussion? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our next resolution is found on page 78 of your packet, resolution number 22-9-9, a resolution authorizing compensation increases for Washington County election workers. This comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner England to approve the resolution.
Speaker next to
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. We have 15 yes, the resolution passes. Commissioner Wheeler?
Our final resolution is on page 81 of your packet, resolution number 22-9-10, resolution authorizing the disposition of election commission surplus property on govdeals.com. That comes as a recommendation from the committee, and I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler to approve the resolution. We have a second, Commissioner, seconded by Commissioner Wexler.
Can't see anybody.
All right. All right. Any discussion or question? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switches to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you will announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Anything else, Commissioner Wheeler?
That's all we have.
On our next item, we have no old business to report. We do have a resolution for notaries, and that's resolution number 220911. It's a resolution approving the election of notaries public for appointment and a reappointment for Washington County, Tennessee. Do we have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Huffine, second by Commissioner Jones to approve the resolution. Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, and the resolution passes. Couple of announcements. We have no new business to report, but we do. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Workshop. So we can have standard discussion from that time, you can go.
Maybe would it be acceptable to you if we waited till next month so we can get our committee set up and all those good things? Would that be all right? All right. I promise you it will be on the agenda for new business next month. Is that okay? All right. That'll work. I'll be sure and tell Allison that so I don't forget to put it on the agenda. All right, our next item is a cutoff date and time for next month's county commission agenda is Thursday, October the 13th at 12 noon. Now, we've had several people inquire about bringing business to committees in October. And one of the things we do in September is have a couple of extra meetings so people can do that. So when you arrive in your committee meetings, you may find or you see posted on there, business after you do your election for committees. So, if people want to bring business, Sherry has been directing those to the proper committee. I don't think there's very big committees, but a lot of big issues, but it's just small issues that people needed. And we may not get to all those during those committee meetings as well. So, yeah. Once you become the committee chairman, it's in your hands. We just got to get it to you.
Speaking of committee meetings, they're next Tuesday instead of Thursday. Is that right?
Yes, next Tuesday instead of Thursday. Storytelling. Yes. Yes, storytelling. Also, so I reminded you of the committee agendas. So when you start seeing your committee agendas coming out and seeing things that's already on there for your consideration, you'll know what those are. The TCSA Fall Conference is Murfreesboro, October the 11th through 13th. I know that Sherry has contacted you through an email. If you wanted to attend that, please let her know. We have to let them know this week. So somebody asked me, said, what if I don't respond? That means no. So if you don't respond, it's no. So be sure and let her know if you're going. It's important for us to know, so we can get that done. All right, that's all the announcements that I have. Anyone else? Commissioner Malone?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just a reminder for those that are newly appointed to the beer board, we are meeting, it's not Tuesday, October 4th. We're meeting this Wednesday, September 28th, 9 at the courthouse.
Yes, Commissioner Malone gave that to me before the meeting, and I had so many announcements to make. He even typed it in blue, and I still missed it. So thank you for reminding me of that, Commissioner Malone. And this may just preliminarily be a setting. After we get our committee set, we probably need to schedule an ARPA meeting about the 10th of October. I don't know how that works for everyone's schedule, but please let Sherry know, because that is the date that we're going to kind of shoot for, on the 10th, if that works. So, Commissioner Wheeler, if I'm not mistaken, if you're committee chairman, you're on ARPA, right? But that's how it was. All the committee chairmen, yeah. So, all right. Anything else? Yes. I will tell you before we go, I have been working with the open meeting people today. I've also spoke with Blake. Blake does a great job. He's here behind the clerk, and he works for BCTI, and he is also working with me to for our new voting software. And sooner or later, I hope that will be in and done. So I know Blake's excited as I am to get that installed.
He looks
Aren't you?
excited.
He is more excited than all of us, you know? So, thank you, Blake.
Settle down, yeah.
We also are on YouTube tonight. We were live, and we will be posted, tomorrow. So we're back to YouTube. Thank you, Blake, for taking care of that as well. So, all right. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Commissioner Tamita to adjourn. Do you have a second? Second by Commissioner Malone. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. All opposed? We're adjourned.